Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I am sorry I'm late. Today has been a Monday for the books. Just saying. Um, I don't know if it's just me, but today I just felt so kind of like all over the place, like not as focused as I normally am. And I had a lot of like very interesting calls and emails that went out and just things that, whoo, I'm trying to recover now. And I am definitely going to get my rest on after this. And it is a perfect, like, always say that God always teaches you what you need to learn. And sometimes the topic comes up and then you're tested to see how well you've learned the lesson. And so today, this topic about rest is so like spot on to, what's going on for me today on this beautiful Monday, October 20th, 2 days after my birthday. Like, it's a lot going on. So, yeah, so happy you are here. For those who don't know me, I'm Tashina and I'm an executive leadership and team coach, and I help teams and the leaders who lead them collaborate better, heal from conflict, and build systems that actually work without the drama. And today, I am going to talk to you about rest. This is something that we do not talk enough about, especially in our workplaces and the different systems that we're in. And so, I want to talk about that. I want to bring that to the forefront because the thing is, we're going into the one of the busiest seasons of the year for any industry. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, this is one of the busiest because we're trying to tie up loose ends for the end of the year. Um, Reviews, planning for next year, closing out before, holiday shutdown, all these things. And so it's important to talk about this topic of rest. Um, Most organizations that I know are built to extract, to get as much out of you. And we've built these systems, probably out of the revolution, or maybe that's not the word that I'm looking for, out of like the industry where there was a lot of like mining and things like that. And so we have built these systems that are looking for productivity at all times. And they're looking to make sure that you're giving the most of your time, the most of your energy, give all your creative juices away. And then we call it productivity. We say that person is being productive. And this is because we live inside this type of environment that's like a capitalist environment, and it celebrates burnout. And you may not hear it in that way, but that's the way it is. Like, you're celebrating burnout when you're like, okay, so this person is always on. They're going. They stay late. They come in early. We say that all the time. And so that's what makes it where we're celebrating burnout in our organizations, and it makes it hard. It makes it hard for us as humans to keep up, right? Because then we say the person who works the longest, who's always on, who never stops, that's the person that's going to get rewarded for all of the work that they did. But I'm here to tell you that that is not an efficient system. That is not something we should be saying is efficiency. It's actually a place of a lot of exhaustion. And when people are exhausted, the system can't function. The system doesn't last because you're tearing people down. You're not going to get the best of people every day. And so I'm here to tell you that rest is not just about self care. It's a design principle that we have to put into our systems, and we have to be intentional about including it in our strategies, in our project workflows, in our swim lanes. All of these things, we have to include rest as a part of that. Because if you want a system that works long term, rest cannot be an afterthought. It has to be a part of your overall plan. And so this is day 21 of the 30 days of systems that make teams work. And today I'm going to be talking about why rest is a structural phenomenon. It's not something that should just be seen as a luxury. I'm also going to talk about how recovery, being able to recover, can create more resilience in your employees and in yourself. And then how to build a system that is more sustainable over time and it doesn't drain people quickly or deplete them in a really fast way. Okay. So let's start here. So, when thinking about this outline, I said I want to start with talking about a capitalist system because our workplaces were built inside of a capitalist model. And in this capitalist model, it values production over anything else. What's the ROI? How much can we get back? What's the bottom line say? How many hours are you working as it relates to how much pay you're getting? It is about producing. And if you're not producing, you are falling behind, right? It's saying like you're not you're not on the bus. You're not with us. And if someone says they're tired, we get this message like, oh, you'll be all okay, just work harder and get it done faster so then you can rest. And then we say, if you rest, you've suddenly lost your passion, or you're not all in, or you are not aligned, or you're not a good fit. We talked about fit before. But these are the things that we start to hear in our organizations. And it's because capitalism rewards output. It rewards how much can I extract and get out of you? How much out can I put on the table to help me and my organization and my dollars, right? It's not focused on our well being at all. It measures our worth in deliverables. So this is where we start to see like those competencies or those standards that we're measured up against, and it's always saying things like, if you do this and we can measure it, then you're doing great. And only the things that we can measure are worth it. I know this firsthand working in an organization where it was like, we have to measure what we're doing. Y'all, I'm going to tell you right now, if you are a leader, it is the hardest freaking thing to measure coaching. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's hard because you know what? Everybody doesn't develop in the same way. Everybody doesn't have the same goals. Everybody doesn't have the same things they need to work on. And so we don't necessarily reward people for things that are more kind of like you can't really touch it and pinpoint it, but there's an energy, there's a vibe, there's a presence, there's something there, right? But because we live in a capitalist environment, it's always like, we got to make sure X minus Y equals 5. Like we have to make sure, right? We have to be able to measure it. And that mindset has shaped how we design everything in our systems. And it's also how we see ourselves, how our identity is shaped in the work environment, too. We've been taught that the best workers are the ones that never stop. Those are people that grind, they hustle, they're going to sacrifice, they're going to give up time with their kids to stay at work a little bit later. They're the ones who going to wake up early in the morning, or those are the people that's working overnight to make sure to get that report in. And so we start to take this mindset or this identity of busyness that means if I'm busy, I'm important. And that if I'm exhausted, that's proof that I worked my ass off and that I'm excellent and that I'm good and I should get the promotion and I should be the man, right? I should be him. If y'all came to my other live, you know that I talked about being him and how some of us talk about being him, right? But that's what we produce. That's what we see in our organizations, right? But that's not a sign of your dedication at all. You're just depleting yourself and you're making yourself feel like worn down faster. And I'm going to talk about this a little later, but guess what? These organizations and capitalist environment will always see you as replaceable. So my friend, don't get it twisted. Take your time, get your rest, get your time off. You will never get the time back. You will never get that time back. When I started reframing my mind that I only have, let me see, my youngest son is 11. I only have 7 more summers with him. I have only 7 more school years with him. And when I break it down that way, oh, I'm going to get my rest, whatever rest looks like for me. Right. And so we want to make sure that when we're in these systems, to recognize what these systems are doing and how they're shaping our identity and our definition of success. These systems are treating us like we're machines, like it's all about efficiency. It's all about predictability. It's all about like, okay, if that person doesn't work, we'll just switch out the robot and put a new robot in because you're going to be replaceable. Or we have to always be on. I have to always be available. I have to always produce. And that is the problem because you can't always go, 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 go. Let me tell you, and this may be hard to hear, and this may be something that you haven't heard, right? Because we're moving into an environment of AI and driven into this like moment where machines are replacing human knowledge and capacity, right? But guess what? Even machines need to rest. Even machines have to rest. How many of y'all have a laptop or a phone or something, right? If you're watching this, you must have a laptop or a phone, right? Well, when your laptop overheats, it's going to slow down. When it's low on battery, it's going to shut off completely. Y'all, today, like I literally saying this is another reason why I'm late today is because I was working on my laptop and then all of a sudden it just froze on me and I couldn't do anything. And I knew it was froze because even the mouse on my laptop, it it had a different click feeling, right? I couldn't really click it. Why? Because my machine, my laptop was tired. And so I needed to restart it, reboot it, and start all over, right? Because I know that in order for my laptop to work at its most optimal function, it needs rest, it needs recovery. So when it comes to people, let's not ignore those signs. Let's not ask people to just push through. Let's not glorify the burnout. Let's not praise people who just are always on, even when they're on and it's destroying creativity, it's destroying trust, it's destroying clarity. When we don't have rest, y'all, we actually, our IQ dips. We are not at the highest rate that we should be. And so we want to be reminded like we need to rest. If you're foggy and your brain is foggy by the end of the day, or you're just all over the place or something's going on, that's your sign. It's like ding, 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 ding. Rest, rest, right? So if we want workplaces, if we want teams, if we want ourselves to last and to be resilient and to be able to, have the same level of impact that we want, we have to be willing to rest. And that's going to start off with redefining what productivity looks like, redefining what success looks like. Because in a capitalist model, let me tell y'all, they don't like you to rest. So I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna look like you are rebelling against a system that wants you to always be producing. But if you're thinking about your strategy, if you're looking holistically at your culture, at your systems, and thinking really systems thinking holistically, rest is a strategy and it should be in there. Okay. You should have moments where we pause, we kind of calibrate, we reflect, and then we move forward. Rest. Okay. Rest doesn't mean sleep. Okay, it doesn't always mean sleep. It may be a part of it, but it's not the complete definition of rest. Okay, so we have to stop seeing rest as a reward. Like we only get the vacations when we do all the work, or we only do get these things when we have a level of output, and start designing it within our systems, within our infrastructures, so that we actually have the opportunity to be resilient individuals and we bring the best that we have. Okay. Now, what does rest and recovery actually look like? I've already hinted at this a little bit. I've said, rest isn't just about sleep. And people think of that way. They're like, this is about sleep. This is about having my weekend, my 2 day, my Saturday and Sunday, or my Friday after 12 until Sunday, or, I got a 3 day weekend, or I get to take a vacation. That's how we see rest, right? But rest shouldn't be looked at as like this personal luxury. And we could only have it when we've somehow did something, right? Somehow, some way that we have like, this is my gift to myself because I did all this work. It shouldn't be seen like that. We need to see rest as how we renew ourselves, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, and it's how we restore our energy and not just spend it. So I like to look at this. Let me see. How do I describe it? There's a thing called biomimicry. And biomimicry means that you learn from nature systems and you apply the same design principles to how we work. I talked about it in my very first live. And I have a book. So if you look, there's a book that's literally called Biomimicry, and you look it up, and it talks about how a lot of things in our human world are shaped and designed after things that happen in nature, right? Well, nature knows how to take rest. Y'all, I said this and I still stand behind this. I have no scientific backup for this, but I say that a reason why there had to be a pandemic is because Mother Nature was like, I need rest. I need to clear the sky a little bit. I need to slow this thing down a little bit, right? And things happen. Nature knows what it wants. Mother Nature knows what to do to get the rest, right? Forests are not going to just grow nonstop, nor are they going to go dormant in the winter, right? Like there's always like these cycles of, spring, fall, winter, summer. Like there's always these cycles, right? You look at the ocean, it knows what to do. You look at volcanoes, stars, all these things, they know what to do because there's a wisdom in there in order to like recover, to rest, and to make sure that we actually have an earth to live in, right? So nature doesn't say, like, if you think about water, like the beach, when it's like a high turf surf, whatever, the water tide. I looked at my husband to help me out. When there's a high tide, it doesn't apologize for being a high tide. And when it gets calm, it doesn't say, oh, I'm sorry, I just need to rest. It just does it because it knows, right? It knows what to do, right? It pauses so that the strength can build up. Volcanoes do this, right? But for some reason in our workplace, we skip recovery altogether. We just go through sprints. We don't pace ourselves. We push ourselves. We don't pause. And then we wonder why we're tired. We wonder why we're burnt out. We wonder why we're exhausted. And we wonder why there's so much resentment being built up. And it's because we don't take the time for recovery. If you're here, when does your team get to pause? When do you have moments of actual resetting or reflecting together? Do you? Tell me in the chat if it's you. I want to know how you do it. I'm curious, right? Let's check to see if I got any comments. Okay. No comments? Okay. But yeah, we just have to look at that ourselves, and we have to ask ourselves, am I making time for rest? Am I making time for renewal? Am I making time to pause? Am I making the time, right? Let's be real though. Most of us are not comfortable with rest. Most of us are not. Some of us are like, I don't like to be still. I like to keep going. I have to be moving. I can't stop. Y'all, literally, my husband just walked out and he's probably listening to this somewhere or going to listen to this at some point. And I tell him he's like a squirrel. He's a squirrel. He doesn't like to rest. He doesn't like to be bored. He likes to go, go, go. When he's not resting, he's like, oh, ooh, something's not right. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, give me all the rest. My mom used to call me grandma. Like, she used to be like, Sheena, you gonna get your rest. Yes, ma'am, I'm gonna get my rest. How do you think I keep this face? That doesn't look the age she is. Because I'm going to rest and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. But most people have been trained to believe that rest means that you're lazy, you're replaceable, you're falling behind, you're, not being not giving back, you're not making impact. You're wasting our time, you're wasting our money when you rest. Our worth has been tied to what we produce and not who we are. So, our strategy is to stay busy because busyness feels like safety. It feels like safety, and that is so important. How are we defining safety? If I'm busy and that's safe for who? Safe for me or safe for you? Because while my body is breaking down, while my family doesn't get all the time that they need from me, while I don't get the rest to be in solitude and just to be by myself and think and reflect, you are getting all of me. So safe for who? We think if I stop everything, everything is going to fall apart. If I go on vacation as a leader, everything is going to fall apart. If I rest, people are going to think I don't care. We have been conditioned in our society. Capitalism has taught us keep going. You cannot stop. We have to produce. I'm going to go on a limb and say not just capitalism but racism has taught us keep going. We have to keep going. We have equated exhaustion and burnout with excellence. Many of you have probably heard of the Nap Ministry. It is by a author named Trisha Hersey, and she says that rest is a form of resistance. Imagine that. Rest as a form of resistance. She says rest is how we reclaim our humanity in a system that profits from our exhaustion. What's her name? Auntie in the government. She said, I'm going to reclaim my time. Yes, ma'am. Reclaim your time because you're reclaiming your rest, your recovery. You're reclaiming that for yourself. They both are right because rest threatens every structure that's built on productivity, burnout, hustling, grinding. It threatens all of those structures. Okay. No, when we rest, that doesn't mean that we won't be relevant. No, it doesn't mean that we're going to lose power. No, it doesn't mean that we're going to lose control. No, we don't want to be on survival mode all the time. If we're not safe, we're trying to survive. And so we have to reframe our mindset about what is safety, what is survival, and why am I equating this to rest? Leaders who design for rest are being very strategic because you are ensuring that your team, your system can go without breaking down. When we talk about culture change and culture shifts and really designing for the culture, put rest into your system. You'll have a culture, you know? Work hard, play hard should be really what it means. Work hard, play hard. I say that as somebody who my sons play for a team called Work Hard, Play Hard, and I used to work for an organization, Genentech, who says work hard, play hard. And so that's a real thing. That culture should be a real thing, right? Work hard and play hard. Okay. We all need renewal. We all need rest. We all need some level of like just renewal, reinvigoration, right? And when we don't do it, we're going to collapse mentally, physically, emotionally, creatively. We're going to collapse, and you're going to see low morale. You're going to see high turnover. You're going to see burnout because the teams are tired. We tired. And now you've lost trust, you've lost a commitment to like what you say, your values say. If you care about me, if you're concerned about me, you have to be concerned about me holistically, not just from what I can produce. And when you ignore it, it doesn't make you stronger. It weakens the system. It weakens the output. It weakens the turnaround time. It weakens the progress. It weakens the ROI when you don't focus on rest. Interesting, huh? The very thing that we continue to be working and doing and going and going and going produces the very thing we don't want. It produces it, right? So we have to be careful. So how do we design rest into our systems? Okay. Here is how we can do that. The first thing I want to say is we need to redefine productivity. So that means we need to start measuring not just outcomes, but also the energy that we're giving, right? Not just the hours work. We know what hours you work. You work 8 to 12 hours a day, whatever, depending on the industry. That's what I typically see, right? So we need to also measure our energy, our energetic output, right? And so you can ask your team, like, what helped you recharge this week? How did you include rest? How did you include reflection? And how did you take that learning in order to measure your success? So, because I was able to take some time to actually come out of a meeting and reflect on what happened in the meeting, it allowed me to actually produce something 2 times faster, 10 times faster, whatever it is, right? So redefine what productivity looks like. What does it look like? And that's like, what is productivity is not just my output, but it's also the energy, the resetting, the reflection that I also give to my work. The other thing is to design for recovery in your system. Rest doesn't mean that you're not doing nothing, but it is about creating these cycles of activity and then restoration, activity, renewal. Like we're doing this all the time. There's a cycle there. And so build in those moments where it's a meeting free day, where it's a reflection week, no meetings at all, or where we have like these moments of pauses in between major projects, because you want to design recovery the same way you would design your output, right? You want to be intentional and you want to make sure that it's built in. And then the last thing is to model it as a leader. I know a lot of leaders who are sending emails at 9 o'clock at night. And I'm here to let you know, even if you're saying they don't have to respond to me, you have an automatic advantage of power, and your team is going to think that they have to respond to you right away. And so you want to make sure that you are actually building in those moments where you say, I need to role model as a leader, and I'm going to schedule this email to go out. I'm not going to send it tonight because that's going to be very helpful. Right. And you also want to take the breaks. If you're on lunch, go to lunch. No having lunch in your office. No having lunch through your meetings. There are so many industries and companies that actually feed their people at lunch. And we see it as like, oh, good, I get free lunch. And there's no time for you to have the rest. I'm an introvert and I need time to myself. I need that time. And so we have to be willing to normalize being able to say, you're going to have a real lunch and not just sit at the desk or in the office, right? And so that means setting the boundaries as a leader, taking the breaks, to tell your team, we're going to pause before we move forward. We're not going to just try to hammer it out. We're going to pause. We're going to be intentional. We're going to be deliberate on how we approach things in the office. Teach your people how to value rest by showing them what it looks like. Okay. And you're not going to lose time by doing this. It's going to make things more sustainable, right? So at the moment, it may feel like, oh, shoot, we're wasting time, we're going slower. But sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And in the long run, I want you to be able to go the long distance than the quick distance and burn out. That's what we want. Okay. So, as we always do, I have a reflection for you, something to reflect on this week. Where does rest currently exist in your system? Where is the rest? How are you defining it? What's one small shift that you could do to help your team recover better? There's a lot of people that's going to need to recover at moments from now through December. Where are we building those in? And what story about rest do you need to rewrite for yourself? We've been taught, in this capitalist racist society that, we need to keep going. We got to produce. We got to go, 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 right? But that is not the truth. So where do you need to rewrite that story? Because when you start to include rest as part of your strategic plan, as part of a embedded into your system, you are going to create a space where people don't just come to work and produce, but they're going to be successful. They're going to feel empowered. They're going to feel like they're not going to have the Monday morning blues. Okay. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't earn rest, you design for it. So design your rest the way you want it. It's not a perk. So you don't have to wait like, oh, I did all of this and now I can rest. I did all of this and now I can take the vacation. I did all this, now I can go get the massage. No, girl, go ahead and do it. Or guy, sir, bro, like my kids say, bro, go do it. Right? You get it. It is yours. Right? It is yours. Okay? So I want you to rest well. I'm going to rest well tonight. Trust me, I'm about to go rest well. And I want you to think about how you can do this in your system too. I'll see you all tomorrow back here at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to be talking about decision making. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.